What's poppin', boys? VenomousStare back. Mana is down here in the bottom right. The winner of DreamHack Summer 2012 of Team Liquid. He's a pretty popular player, he's a nice guy in real life, and he is scouting pretty early here. The guy he is going to be scouting is a Polish player who I've seen a lot of on streams as an opponent, as a foe, as someone that is very fun to watch. Your favorite player play against that, you know, you're watching the stream of. It's Soul. And Soul was going to look for that probe, but he found it because it is a scout probe. A lot of Protoss players do this whether they mean to proxy or not. They'll send that probe in early to see if Terran is going to proxy, then maybe check the gases, and then they will go build their proxy pylon with this very same probe. A lot of times though, Terran players, if they're very worried about a proxy, perhaps if they play a lot of proxies or lose to a lot of proxies, or suspect the player of doing a proxy. Oftentimes, you know, if it's pro gamer versus pro gamer on LAN, you get a pretty good idea of if he's going to proxy or not based on reputation, I would say. It's not like you know for sure, but having a reputation to proxy is definitely something that follows you as a player, especially in certain matchups. And Mana is going to proxy, and Soul was all over this. Now I haven't watched enough Soul games to know if this is something that he does versus every Protoss player, if he's always this conscious of looking for proxies or looking for workers, or if this is like a tournament thing, or if this is a Mana thing. It looks like Mana is going to go back and make Tech in his main. There's the Stargate. So this is smart. You don't want to force a proxy like this if it gets scouted. The Terran's just going to send the Reaper there almost every single time. So the reason I chose to cast the Soul game is I don't know what happens. I haven't seen this game, but I saw Soul in the pack and wanted to cast it. I just see his factory's almost done. It's back in the day when StarCraft 2 was in its prime, 2011, 2012. Really no one played under a barcode. Especially on the NA and EU servers, pretty much everyone played under their main name. This meant whenever you watched streams, it was just constant good matches between two people that you cared about, or at least knew, you know. Maybe Moro versus Sort of, or TLO versus Moro, or perhaps Idra versus Stefano. So situations like this would occur, Destiny versus Idra, Combat X versus Idra, things like this. This would happen, and then whether you really like those players or even dislike those players, it was a compelling storyline in the sense that you were watching a game, each side had a personality and a certain play style, and you were going to get treated to sort of like an ongoing series. If you watched a lot of StarCraft streams, as you see a proxy just finishing here, a starport for Soul, although with the Stargate already up here for Mana and a Phoenix coming, this shouldn't do very much damage. And an Oracle's on the way here for Mana. So this meant anytime that you watch streams, you were just constantly bombarded, as we see a couple of Hellions running here, and they just get 3 probes. They get cleaned up by Adepts, 4 probes. But this is the big story, because Soul doesn't have a lot at home. There go all of his Marines. This mine just can't burrow where it wants to. This Oracle's going to town, so Soul's going to see what he can get done, but like I said, a Phoenix is already out. This is what's tricky about doing like one Liberator harass versus people who open Stargate. Is, you know, if they do make some Phoenix, it's not actually going to be very good. One Liberator harass I feel like is something that's better against Zerg, and it's more map based. I feel like they've touched up the Liberator enough times with nerfs to make one Liberator harass not that good. Now, like I said, a lot of this is map based, so when I say they touched up the Liberator, I mean, this is like a decent map for it, but there's quite a bit of space. What you don't want is like no space behind the mineral line and like lots of dead air. As you see, the starport's flying home, but it's under duress, and the Adepts are coming out here. Soul is going to be underprepared for this, plain and simple. Whenever you lose that many units in the early game and go for a proxy that doesn't work, you fall behind. And Mana has just walked his units across the map. And Oracle's pack a punch, man, in low unit counts. And he's gonna focus, there he is, onto the Widow Mine, boom, beautiful micro, and until he loses the Oracle, so average micro, but he's going to breach the gates, and the Widow Mine is dead. That is the important thing. And here come the Adepts. The Adepts are going to try to do damage here to these workers, and they will, of course. They do bonus damage to light, which are Hellions and workers. And of course Marines, I would say, are the primary things that are light in this matchup that Adepts do well against. There's going to be a very angry Terran player that lists all the other things that Adepts are good against. The Adepts are good against everything. I kind of feel like that too, even when I'm playing Zerg. But anyway, the Adepts are going to get cleaned up here. And you know, at this point, this game is what it is. The Terran's down 12 workers, he's badly behind. His upgrade is not started, Stim is not started, Combat Shield is not started. The third base is already finished for the Protoss. And mana, he needs gas badly. He needs these geysers and he needs these geysers. And once he gets that 3 and 4 and 5th and 6th gas income, he will really be able to run away with the scams and things that with things that are really important, like upgrades. We can see at his base he has a Forge and a Twilight. Notice that because Sol is so far behind, he's kicking up double ups, and you know, that's not abnormal per se. You know, it's not like he's doing something crazy like getting 3 and getting slow at the same time, but you can see he doesn't have shields, he doesn't have Stim, and that is just so crucial, especially when you fight Phoenix Adept, because they shred light units. Marines are light, and without that extra health buff, wow, they feel really, really light. Not just unit type light. As a Widow Mine goes off there and gets the shields, but not much else. The Phoenix scream forward. And the Adepts are gone. The Adepts are gone like the Texas Rangers playoff hopes. The Phoenix are going to patrol around, and this is a game of income, ladies and gentlemen. His Sol is going to scan, get a sense of false hope, because it looks like to him that mana is on 2 bases. Mana will just continue to troll around and do damage. This is very easy, strong harass for Mana, stuff that he can do very easily and efficiently, pretty much without risk. And you always want to go for these types of harassment when you make harassment units. You don't want to go for super risky types of harass that gets you involved really, really deep in their base that can get you in trouble. Go for stuff like this. Sol doesn't have Stim, look at that. His medevac just gets helplessly picked off. Granted, he could have microed it back a little, but the point is he doesn't have Stim yet, and when you don't have Stim, you can't fight Phoenix, plain and simple. Sol is trying to get a wall up here like Big Dawn, but it's not happening. 4th base on the way for Mana, who is just getting tremendously ahead. And this is what you want to do with Phoenix, just continue poking and prodding, keep your opponent at their base. Another benefit of this is Sol is not able to drop with this many Phoenix, and you can see now that he finally tries, he's going to lose. As Adepts flood in his base, he desperately needed the Marines at his base, but it's one of these damned if you do, damned if you don't situations where he was just so far behind it. He not only had to do damage with drops, but also needed all of his units there at the same time. He had to take a risk at some point. It's not like it was the incorrect play, per se, but he's going to die. The Adepts spring forward. The mines could be big here, but no, they both go off on a preemptive little group. And when there's more Adepts than Marines, it's usually pretty bad for the Terran. The Warp Prism, thankfully for the Protoss player, is microed away, and Sol does 2 different Gs and calls it good. Subscribe for more.